Coach, thanks for checking out this video on competitive practice ideas. Now, in this video, we're not going to go over specific drills that you can use. Rather, we're going to go over some ideas that you can use to enhance the drills or to make what you're already doing in practice more competitive. We all have drills that we like. We run different offenses, different defenses, and we need to get the most out of our players. So these ideas are here to help and enhance what you're currently doing. Of course, I'm going to give some ideas that we use in our practices, and you certainly could steal those or take those and use them, but modify these to fit what you're already doing and to get your players to go harder, go faster, more focused, and just have better practices. All right. So, first thing that we're going to cover is time score, winner, loser, and first two. Anytime you add time to anything, it can just be a time, we're going to do this for 5 minutes. It adds a level of focus and attention to what you're doing. So using a scoreboard, having something on a stopwatch, or somebody calling out an amount of time that's left is going to enhance your practices and make them more competitive. Now, of course, if you add the second thing, which is a score, that's going to help. We got to reach a certain goal. We first one to 10 points, or the first one to force 4 turnovers, or the first one to make 5 shots, whatever it is. Or if you're scrimmaging, then it's, first one to 11, maybe win by 2. So time and score are going to be huge. Whoever's up at the end of the time is going to be the winner or the loser, adding in our third one. Winners and losers can be used in any sort of format. So 3-on-3, 2-on-2, 1-on-1, or of course your 5-on-5 games. So we want to have that winner and loser aspect to most things that we do. We just don't want to go so far where the loser is having to do something that is extremely difficult all the time. So they got to run a line drill, or they got to run, a certain number of sprints, and they're just going to be exhausted from it. The loser recognizes that they lost. We let them know something that they can correct, but we want to get back to the drill. We want to get back to something so that loser does something really quick. And of course, winners, you can have them keep track of how many wins did you have. If you build a competitive cauldron, which I've done videos on in the past, is you're going to keep track of how many games that you've won. We want the winners to recognize who they are. We want coaches to recognize that, hey, this kid wins a lot of competitions, shooting, dribbling, 2-on-2, 5-on-5, doesn't matter what we're doing, they're always winning it. Those are kids that we want to have on the floor. So winners and losers can do a lot of things for us. And then the first two, this is where you give them a specific goal. So there is a winner and a loser, but really we're focusing on winners more than we're focusing on the losers here. The first 2-5, the first 2-10 is we're letting somebody off the hook. You can go get a drink first. You don't have to wait, and maybe you don't shoot the extra set of free throws at the end. Maybe you get a Gatorade. Who knows what it is? You get something for it. Maybe you get extra time on a run, or you don't have to do a run. It's cut in half. Who knows what it is? But the first two will make things more competitive as well. Now, these next ones are things I've done specifically in my practice. So we have the dice roll first. This is an idea of where there's 6 sides on a dice. So players will roll it, and whatever that competition is or whatever we're doing in practice, the loser has to do whatever was rolled. Sometimes you have them roll before they do the actual competition. Sometimes they roll it after we figured out who is lost, and the loser rolls to see what they have to do for it. Just the other day in practice, we had where the loser lost a scrimmage, and it was a 5-minute scrimmage, and the players played hard. We didn't have any timeouts or anything like that. We just let them play it out, and the losers were a little bit exhausted at the end of practice, and they had to roll the dice. So they rolled it and they got a 3, which was high five teammates. And that's just recognizing that somebody was a competitor against you and they beat you. So they quickly turned to smiles. They get the high five. They knew they didn't have to run or do push ups or anything like that. But if you look at all those 6 things, they're all pretty short and quick, and they don't take a lot of time. We can get right back into something. Number 6 is the one that takes the most amount of time, but players can get out of it. And what I mean by that is if they make a layup, they don't have to do their 12 sprints in the sideline in 45 seconds. If they miss it, they do have to do it. Then they go to the free throw line. And the free throw, again, 8 sprints in 30 seconds going sideline to sideline. If they make the free throw, they don't have to do that one. And then finally, they have a 3-pointer. If they make the layup, the free throw, and the 3-pointer, there is nothing that they have to do as a consequence. That adds pressure to them. It makes them take big shots when everybody's watching them. And ultimately, if they handle that pressure, they can get out of doing some of that extra work. Now, the layups are pretty easy. It's a gimme. That's why that's the hardest one. If we're not focused on those, yeah, you got to run a little bit harder because you didn't make the easy ones. Free throws, we should be able to make, but it's a little bit less. And then the 3-pointers are shorter. It's going to be the hardest shot but the consequence is the least, just because we know that if you have to do all those, if you miss them all, that's quite a bit of running. So you can make those anything that you want, coach. You don't have to use what I have up there, but the shoot for is a way for players to get out of it. All right, let's jump down to turnovers. We all want to eliminate turnovers in practice. We also want to force turnovers in practice. So, how do we do this? The first thing that we do is we keep track of turnovers. Now, you can do this on a sheet of paper or on your practice plan. I actually have a player who is hurt right now, and I have given him 10 cards. So, he's got from 0 to 10, and every time there's a turnover during that segment of practice. So, it might be we're doing a 2-on-2 drill, or might be doing a rebounding drill, whatever it is. During that drill or that segment of practice, he's keeping track of it. When we go to the next segment, he starts all over. But each turnover is a down and back, so we want to keep track of those. And if it's a gold versus blue, whoever, gold, you got 2 turnovers, you got 2 down and backs. Blue, you got one down and back, that kind of thing. 2 in a row. Anytime there's 2 in a row, so blue teams turn the ball over twice, it's an automatic down and back, right in the middle of that drill. It's not timed or anything. They just jog down, jog back. We recognize we had 2 in a row. We might have to talk to them about what those turnovers were, but we quickly get the consequence and we move on. You could do 2 push-ups, you could do 5 push-ups, you could do sit-ups, you could do squats. It doesn't matter what you use, coach. Have something that recognizes the turnover. The team does it. That blue team does it. The gold team wouldn't have to. And then we move on. All right. Then forcing turnovers. Well, if you force turnovers, what happens? Because you do want to play hard defense, and we do want to get some turnovers. Well, that could be extra time on runs. So if we're going to do a 10-second down and back like in the dice roll, maybe we give them 11 seconds or 12 seconds because they forced 2 turnovers. Maybe they get out of it. Hey, if you guys can get 3 turnovers in this drill, you don't have to do any of the dice roll running. Okay, you're exempt from all of that for this next one. And then there's the team's choice. So you get the turnover, you get to choose. What is it that you would like to do? Do you want to do a certain shooting drill? Would you like to get out of practice 5 minutes early? Would you like to who knows what it is? They come up with some goofy things sometimes, but you give it a team's choice. Now you can give them 2 options, or you can really let them have their way and give them a choice, of course, within certain parameters. But maybe they want to stop somewhere on the way back from a game. Instead of stopping at a Wendy's, they want to stop at a Subway. Something like that. You can give them a choice in that kind of thing. All right, shooting drills. There's so many shooting drills out here that I couldn't cover them all, but I quickly want to give you some ideas. We do 8 in a row free throws. I think it helps us be better free throw shooters because it helps us focus. So when we're focused, we'll make more. Now, we're never going to shoot 8 in a row in a game, but when you get to that 6, 7, and 8, there's some pressure on you. That's when things can tense up. So we have them shoot 8 in a row, and we got to make those final ones. Now, we do time them. They get 3 minutes, and you have to work with the partner. So both partners would have to make their 8 in a row within those 3 minutes. So that's something you can do. I've heard of teams doing it 5 in a row, 4 in a row with 1 minute. It just depends what you want to do. We do 8 in a row and 3 though. Beat your teammate. Competition against your teammate. We're doing a certain shooting drill. You've got to get a better score than they do. So they made 8, you got to make 9, and then flip it around. Let the other guy go first or the other girl go first, and see, if the player who got to go second last time can beat them again when they have to go first. It changes the dynamic of the game a little bit. We have some team goal drills. One is a layup drill and one's a 3-point drill. 72 in 2 minutes is where we split the team into 2 groups. 1 group at each end of the court, and there's 2 basketballs at each end of the court as well. So there's 4 balls going here. They get 2 minutes, and they've got to make 72 layups in 2 minutes. Now they've got to be moving, and they can't miss very many for this to happen. But in the beginning, maybe give them 68, make it a little easier on them. But as they get the idea of what's going on, they've done it once or twice. 72 for 12 players is pretty doable. It actually gets a little bit harder when you start to get 14 guys in there, 15 guys in there. So around 11 or 12, you can get 72 in 2 minutes. This year, our team has gotten as many as 76. So that's a team goal for us. We have a shooting drill where we do 6-ball shooting, and basically we put 3 lines on each end of the court, and on each end of the court, they also have 3 basketballs. The first group jogs down. So they don't have basketballs, but they're going to jog down to the other end. They receive a pass from each of the 3 players at that end of the court, and they're going to shoot. So they've got to make the 3-pointers, and we have coaches who count them, but we're going to make 45 of them. Once that first group shoots, The passers then become the ones who jog down to the other end. And I say jog, they're actually moving at a pretty good clip, not quite a full sprint, but they're moving pretty good. The passers just immediately run to the other end. They receive a pass, and now they're shooting. And then those passers, it keeps going back and forth, where the passers become the shooters become the passers. We do this for 3 minutes. So they've got to make 45 three-pointers in those 3 minutes. And then we have the 2 in a row from 5 spots in 2 minutes. This isn't so much a team goal as it is an individual goal. We're trying to push ourselves. So you'd have 5 spots from 15 feet. You got to make 2 in a row from the first spot, then 2 in a row from the second spot, the third spot, fourth spot, fifth spot. Once you've done that in all 5 spots from 15 feet, you step back to the 3-point line and you try to do the same thing. You've got to try to make all 20 shots. So they've got to be, there's 10 spots now, 5 15-footers and 5 3-pointers, and you're making 2 in a row before you can go to the next spot. You've got to make all of those shots within 2 minutes. If you only made it to say you've done all the 15-footers and you step back to the 3-point line, but you don't get past that first spot, that's your goal the next time around. You've got to get to the second spot. So this is an inner challenge more than it is a challenge where there's a consequence or there's going to be something that you have to do because you didn't make it. It's you competing really against yourself. And then there's defensive stops. To help our defense grow, we'll do things like 3 stops in a row equals the first one to get a drink. So it might be you get 3 stops in a row, your group gets to go get a drink, the other group doesn't get to get a drink at all. And then at the end of that segment or that drill, of course, everybody's going to be able to get a drink, but that's just a way for you to get an extra break because you put in that hard work, you got things done. The score, stop, score could be those 3 things in that sequence, or you could do it with a stop, score, stop. So we have 3 different things that we have to be able to do in our game, and we've got to do it in a manner that we can relate it to a game. So in games, you're going to have big moments where you got to get a stop, and then we've got to go down and score. That's what we're trying to work on here. So score, stop, score might be a freebie. You get high fives in the next dice roll. So if you have to roll the dice, you're automatically getting those high fives. Or you could make it a player's choice. You could pick which one of those 6 things you want to do, but it can't be the high fives. So you kind of eliminate one, but they've met a goal and you're going to reward them for the next time they have a consequence, they get to choose what they want. Players love that option to be able to choose. And then finally, we have the 2 out of 3, and this is winning the game within the game. So this is where, let's say we're working on our defense and we're going to be trapping the post. We want to get 2 really solid traps in 3 possessions. So you're winning 2 out of 3. We may not get all 3 of them. The offense cut. The post player made a great no-look pass. Something happened that just wasn't right for us, so we weren't able to get it done. But 2 out of 3 shows that we know what we're doing, we're able to do it, and we're winning that part of the game. That doesn't mean the team can't score. If the offense, we get a great trap, but the offense still scores, sometimes something lucky happens, sometimes a great play is made. So it's not the score that we're focused on as much as it is the smaller part of our defense. If you trap the baseline, you trap the post, you force them to one side of the floor, you run them off the 3-point line. Whatever it is that you do in your defense, 2 out of 3, so players can get focused. And if they miss one, they can still dial in and they can still make it happen and find some success. So coaches, these are all ideas that you can use within your practice to make your practices more competitive. Tweak them, mold them, steal them, do whatever you want with them to fit what your team does to make your team better. All right, coach, good luck in your next practice and make it as competitive as you can so that your players and your team get better.